What do WoW players want? Well, the answer to that question depends heavily on who you're asking. I mean, I can tell you what I want, but it's going to be different from what the next person tells you, because we all want different things from the game. When you add in questing, PvP, raids, dungeons, game difficulty, character models, all the classes, and everything else, you have thousands of issues from millions of players who all want something different. So, in Blizzard's defense, it's pretty much impossible to please everyone. And at the same time, when people are giving so much feedback and there is so much of an outcry, surely there has to be some overlap. So rather than asking what each individual player wants, it's more feasible to ask, what does the player base want collectively? Well, once again, let's take a look at the major complaint for this expansion, which is that there's simply nothing to do in the current content. Why do so many people feel this way, and why do others feel differently? Take, for example, the guy who's in his early 30s, has a wife and kids, has a full-time job, and doesn't have as much time to spend in WoW. He logs in every day to check his garrisons, he logs in a couple nights a week to raid for a couple hours with his team. He's probably really happy with the game. He probably feels that since he's older and doesn't have as much time to invest in the game, that the game is suited pretty well for him. And he's right. From his perspective, the game is better. But what about players with less time constraints who actually like to spend more of their free time in the game? Can that guy honestly say that those players are getting what they want from the game? Probably not, but he might argue that they're simply in the minority, that most of the player base has aged because WoW has aged. He probably feels like he represents the majority of the player base, but is that true? Well, there's some data that might suggest differently. According to a recent survey conducted by Dremord on the WoW subreddit, 20,000 players were asked their age, 70% were under the age of 25, and only 23% were between the ages of 26 to 35. According to this survey, Mr. Family Guy and myself are in the minority. Take a look at this graph from Statista, which is data from 2013. It is strikingly similar to the data collected from the subreddit. 66% of the players are under the age of 25, and another 18% are between 25 and 30. So while none of this is official Blizzard data, it does support the idea that the majority of the player base is between high school and college age. Further data shows that the average player spends about 20 hours a week in World of Warcraft. That's about 2.8 hours a day, which is less than the average American spends watching TV per day. A recent interview with World of Warcraft lead designer Ian Hazakostas quoted him as saying, "One of the things that garrisons do is give players reasons to log in deliberately in short spurts when they wouldn't have logged in at all otherwise." So for him, players logging in for roughly 10 minutes at a time, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, having no contact with other players or the world itself, is still better than nothing. But if players are used to logging in for 3 hours a day and they're only able to log in for 30 minutes a day because all they have to do in the game is check their garrisons, you might see why a lot of players are upset. And if this data is true and it's not just giving us a false positive, then this lead designer is severely out of touch with his player base. But then again, this is coming from the same article that started off by saying, "The massively multiplayer online role-playing game has always seen peaks and valleys in subscriptions when a new expansion comes out." Well, I'm not so sure about that, Chief. According to that little graph you posted, it looks like WoW was valley-free up until Cataclysm. But then again, this is nothing more than speculation held together by unofficial data. But you don't need data to realize that there is more than a vocal minority of players who are not happy with the current state of the game. You've got forum threads, YouTube channels, Twitch channels, subreddits, podcasts, and blog posts that are all saying the same thing. Look, I'm no armchair developer. I am not claiming that I know more about what's best for WoW than Blizzard. Certainly nobody wants this game to succeed more than Blizzard Entertainment, and they've got so much more concrete data than anything I can ever hope to drum up. It's really not for me to say what players want, but I do know what I want, and you know what you want from World of Warcraft. This is my call to action to you, the players. Let Blizzard know what you want. Send them feedback in-game, post on the forums, tweet them at Warcraft Devs. Let them know what you like about the game, what you don't like, what you think works, what you think doesn't work, what you want to see in the future. Let them know about your World of Warcraft experience. Overwhelm them with feedback, but it goes without saying, keep it constructive and keep it civil. If you're going to post on the forums, post in the appropriate section based on the area of feedback you are giving. Be respectful, but speak your mind. The worst thing that Blizzard can do is not listen. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button, or even the favorite button. And if you found it informative, perhaps you'd like to inform your friends by sharing it with them. And don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see future videos on this channel. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, this is TheKephas, until next time.